This week, I want to talk to you about the possibility of using your clothes as a way of coping and dealing with and removing the workplace inner trauma that we all suffer from time to time. This is the Stylish Wellness Podcast with me, Sarah Banks. Hello, amazing women. So this week's podcast was originally and still will be about wearing clothes that boost your self-esteem. And then somewhere along the way in the preparation for this podcast, I listened to or watched actually on YouTube an interview with quite a well-known CEO, female CEO, who had suffered quite severe inner trauma and debilitating inner trauma as a result of a situation at work. And she talks in the interview about the trauma that she faced and how it had such an effect on her for years after that. And so I started to write my weekly newsletter to the women who are in the Chic Authority Collective. If you are in the Chic Authority Collective, then hello, and it's so nice to connect with you in a different way. And if you are not in the Chic Authority Collective, then come on over and join us there. It sounds like it's a very high-end paid membership, but it's not at all. It's completely free to join, and I'd be delighted to see you there. You will receive a newsletter, bi-weekly newsletter from me, a slightly bigger one on Wednesday and a styling tip on a Friday. And we would be delighted if you joined us. That would be amazing. I'll put a link in the show notes for you to do so. So I was in the middle of writing my Wednesday newsletter to the Chic Authority Collective, and I was writing about this female CEO who I had seen on YouTube. And I do follow and watch female CEOs, especially high profile ones, because they tend to be the ones who are interviewed, and they'll have maybe an Instagram profile that you can go and have a look at rather than just sort of reaching out on LinkedIn via a very tenuous connection kind of thing. And I like to watch as many women in business as I can, and the high profile ones just seem to be sort of easier to watch, obviously, because they have this public profile, public persona, and just as a way of watching what they're doing, what they're saying, of course, what they're wearing, anything really that will help me understand how I can serve you better. So I was watching this interview with this female CEO, and she had had a very traumatic time at work, and that inspired me to start my newsletter to the Chic Authority Collective. And one of the things I thought when I watched this woman being interviewed is, she's not particularly old. She's a very young CEO and has done very well. She's billionaire status, and we would ordinarily, and of course, look at her and think she's very successful, but she did go through this hugely difficult, traumatic time. And I thought, successful, yes. Easy, no. And I think that we underestimate sometimes how difficult doing even the smallest goal, performing and achieving even the smallest goal, can sometimes be. And that work is hard work. Work is work, isn't it? And even if we love what we do, work is still work. And then when it goes wrong, especially if it goes wrong because it's something that we really like, if you love your work, that's one thing. But if it goes wrong, that's a completely different thing. And you might not be expecting it, because of course when we do things that we love, they tend to come easily, and then something going wrong or someone speaking negatively into a situation or making our workplace situation hard can come as a huge shock. But we should be prepared for these events to happen. And I'm sure that speaking to you now, many of you will already have had that experience at work, that something comes from left field and you just did not expect it. So as I was thinking along the lines of how do we cope with the workplace stresses that we have, and as I was preparing the podcast for this week, which is all around looking your best every day and boosting your self-esteem, then the two just clicked for me. And so I'm putting them together. I've got a little thought baby going on of dealing with inner trauma that you face in the workplace predominantly, but of course you can extrapolate it out to include your home life, but dealing with the inner trauma that you face and whether it is possible to use your clothes and what you wear as a way of countering and dealing with and then overcoming that inner trauma and boosting your self-esteem in the process. And the reason why I keep on saying inner trauma is I don't mean like an outer trauma, like something physical happening to you, a traumatic injury or a traumatic event that is outside of yourself. I'm talking about how the body processes trauma and how your body processes bad things that happen, negative situations, challenging situations, triggering situations, and how you will feel within yourself, and how we can use clothes to counteract that inner trauma and as a way of dealing with that inner trauma. Because I was thinking, well, what other ways do we deal with that, especially when we're really busy and we have busy working lives and we have busy home lives? How do we deal with that inner trauma? And I think that if people have a practice of prayer or meditation or silence or stillness, that's where those women are very, very fortunate. And I'm sure some of you have really benefited from being able to use those stillness practices and those withdrawal practices as a way of self-healing. But I think for some of us as well, there are negative ways of dealing with the inner trauma that we face. And those are things like having a glass of wine. Not that there's anything wrong with a glass of wine, but if it's every evening because it's a way of dealing with something. So a glass of wine in itself is not the problem. A glass of wine to help you deal with something is the problem. Similarly, smoking or taking drugs or whatever it is, all those things that in themselves might not be so bad. Well, I'm not sure about the drugs and the smoking, but certainly having a glass of wine is probably okay. But the point is that when we use those things in order to help us cope in another way, those things in themselves become negative, because that's not a helpful thing. You actually need to deal with the issue itself, don't you? So my challenge this week is to talk to you about how you can use clothes to look your best, boost your self-esteem and deal with inner trauma. And I've got about 5 quite quick points of things that will help you. And I hope that they will help you. If you're going through a difficult time at work, I hope that these will help you. And that when you get up tomorrow morning or when you're getting up now, whenever it is, that if you take 1 or 2 of these or even all of them on board and just use them as a way of boosting your self-esteem. And I think that looking at the list now, they're really a way of affirming yourself to yourself. They are a way of telling you non-verbally that you are okay, that you're fine, and that not only are you fine, but you are actually amazing, and that you have a great worth and a great value despite what you may be going through right now. So without further ado, let's get on with the list. Item number 1 on the list for looking after yourself, boosting your self-esteem, looking your best every day, and healing that inner trauma is your personal style signifier. Now, I know that I've talked about this before, and actually I will carry on talking about this for a very long time. Your personal style signifier is your go-to item of jewellery or clothing that separates you out from all your friends or peers. What is it that you wear that makes you feel like you, makes you feel like you've expressed yourself as you really are? For me, I have a few. So big rings is one. I have large shell rings that I wear nearly all the time in the summer, and then glass rings and semi-precious stone rings that I tend to wear in the winter. And I generally always wear a ring, just one large one. Some women wear bangles, some women wear earrings, some women always wear a scarf. Whatever it is, you need a personal style signifier in your wardrobe. I've written a blog about personal style signifiers, and I'll put the link in the show notes so that you could just go and read them separately. But a personal style signifier is a way of, what it says, it's a way of identifying yourself to yourself and then communicating that non-verbally with the outside world. And so in terms of self-healing, boosting your self-esteem and looking great every day, it's great and it's stylish, but also it's affirming. It's affirming to you, and therefore it's affirming to other people about who you are. Item number 2 on the list is wear more of your clothes. So I learned an interesting fact, which is that research has shown that women who are depressed or in a rut neglect over 90% of their wardrobe and admit to wearing less than 10% of it. In order to open up your horizons and escape from this narrow world of low self-esteem, wear more of your clothes. Don't wait until you feel like it. Just agree with yourself that you're going to do it and put different clothes out for yourself to wear each morning. I've got plenty of blog posts on how to put outfits together and how to create your capsule wardrobe. There's the capsule wardrobe lead magnet for you to download if you'd like to. That helps you to put a 7-item capsule wardrobe together in under an hour from clothes you already own. And there are various blog posts on putting outfits together and making sure that you do wear the majority of your clothes. In fact, now I think about it, last week's podcast, I think, was all about that. It was about dividing up your wardrobe using the framework, the 70-20-10 framework. So look that out as well and get to wearing your clothes. And I know that this has been the case for me, that when I'm having a hard time or when I'm really tired or when I feel totally burnt out, as I have been doing just recently, the type of clothing that I wear does not vary, and I almost want to wear just the same thing each and every day, and I don't want to vary it. It's like I don't have the mental capacity for varying what I wear. So firstly, if you notice that you are wanting to wear the same thing every day, then just check in with yourself and make sure that mentally you're okay. And then secondly, try and not wear the same thing every day, but try and start with your personal style signifier and then ask yourself what would look really great with that, and use the style signifier to inspire you to wear something different. So on to number 3. Number 3 on our list is wear colours you like and which suit you. I know this sounds really obvious. We all have colours that we really like, that we really prefer, and we have colours that we don't like so much. So I really love wearing yellow. I know a lot of people don't like wearing yellow. I love wearing green. I know a lot of people don't like wearing green. And then I love other colours too, grey and white. White is my preferred colour of everything, which is quite funny because I can be quite messy, and so you wouldn't think that I would necessarily, or rather, it's not so much that I'm messy, it's more that I'll put white trousers on and then go and walk the dogs in a field or something like that because I'll just be up for the day. So I love those colours. I love the idea of red, but I find red a challenge to wear. But I do really like it. And for a going out dress, for an evening dress, I love the energy that red brings. I like bright red. I don't like that darker red, I find the darker red really draining, but some women wear that darker red and look amazing. I love the idea of wearing purple, and I've got a few purple items in my wardrobe, but for some reason I always get a bit put off wearing it. I can never quite work out why, but I really love it. But I don't ever want to wear it, whereas other women just absolutely love wearing purple and they look amazing in it. I have a similar relationship with black. So when I was younger, I used to wear a lot of black, and then as I got a little bit older, my skin tone changed and it just really did not suit me. And now my skin tone has changed again and it does suit me a little bit better. But I have to be careful not to wear it for exactly the reason I've just mentioned, which is I tend to wear it as a bit of a blanket rather than wearing it because I enjoy wearing it and love wearing it. So I'm sure that you have a colour that you really love. And if you are going through a hard time and a traumatic time and a hard-working time, I would really encourage you to wear colours that you love. It really will make a difference. It sounds so small, doesn't it, to say if you're having a hard time in life, then wear a colour that you like. But these things that seem so small, they affect us on more than one level. They affect us on an emotional level. They affect us on a body level, on a somatic level. And they affect us on an intellectual level as well. So don't underestimate wearing the right colour for you. And by right colour, I mean a colour that you want to wear, not that you've been told to wear or that you think that you should wear, but that a colour that you really want to wear and that you feel good in, and that when you see yourself in the mirror, you think you look great. Number 4 on our list is wearing fitted clothes. Now, this is a really interesting one because I think when women start to withdraw within themselves, they tend to wear looser fitting, baggy clothes. And if you think about your own experience when you might have had a difficult time, then you can think whether that's right for you as well. Do you tend to wear more pajama-like, jogging outfit kind of outfits? I think that is the case for women. It's like cocooning, it's like taking care of yourself, really. It's not that we want to slobber around in our pajamas. It's just that we want to look after ourselves and we want to cocoon ourselves and protect ourselves. And that is totally, totally normal and natural, and don't beat yourself up about it. In fact, I'm sure that I'm not the only one who has put pajamas and a dressing gown on early in order just to feel comfortable and relaxed. So on the one hand, wearing those lovely baggy cocooning clothes is really great. But on the other hand, on a day-to-day basis, wearing them all the time, if you would like to help yourself heal in a different way, I would really recommend that you wear some more clothes that are a bit more fitted, by which I don't mean really fitted and tight fitting so you feel uncomfortable. What I mean is clothes that hug your body and touch the right curves and make you look good and emphasize the good parts of you and hold you in a lovely, sinuously kind of fashion. That's what I mean. I mean, when I'm describing this to you, I'm sort of thinking of like wool jersey tops that sort of come over your bust and then they're long sleeved and they feel really amazing to wear, but they're showing your body off in a really beautiful way. And to be able to wear clothes like that, or a really beautifully fitted pair of trousers that just hug you in all the right places and they emphasize your waist or your legs or your bottom or whatever it is, but they just fit you really well. You will feel so much better for wearing those types of clothes, but you won't feel better for wearing overly tight fitting clothes or clothes that you feel uncomfortable in or that don't do up properly or that have got buttons missing. So try and avoid those. But do see whether there's something in your wardrobe that you can wear that just hugs you and feels like a second skin and makes you feel like the sexy, powerful woman that you are. Because in these times when we're feeling traumatic and burnt out and totally exhausted, we stop feeling like that sexy, powerful woman. She's very far away from us at that moment in time. And I think that those lovely, soft jersey kind of fabrics, or a knitted fabric, or even a silk, like a beautiful silk shirt that's just fitted, has a lovely collar, all that kind of fabric that just feels amazing. Just try and search that out and get to wearing those clothes. And then finally, item number 5 on our list for today is spend time preparing. Preparation is something that I have had to really teach myself and really make myself do, because I like to go from one activity to another with no downtime in between. And I like my brain to be firing creatively, and I like to be thinking on the go, and I like to be working out problems as I go. I don't like to sit and tidy up. I don't like to sit and prepare for the next day. I don't like to sit and plan for the next day. But what I have learnt is that the value of preparation and planning is absolutely immense, and the time reward that you get for the effort that you put in is huge. It's exponential. Is that what I can't remember, think of the word. Okay, I can't remember if that is a word or not, whether I've just made it up. But what I mean to say is that for every 10 minutes that I think you spend planning or preparing or tidying up or getting ready, I think that the time saved and the calm way in which your brain can function the next day is immense, is like a 3-fold magnitude on that time that you've spent preparing. When we feel overwhelmed and we are suffering trauma, it's very, very hard to get back to feeling normal. And in fact, even tidying up can feel like too much. So if it's possible for you to do the smaller tasks, then do try and do those. And a smaller task could just be preparing your clothes for the next day. That is one exercise that if you can just get into the habit of doing every day, you'll just feel so much better. Get your clothes out for the next day, get the jewellery to match, the shoes, make sure you've got everything. That one small action. If you have no more energy today except to do that, prepare your clothes for tomorrow, then go and do that and know that you have done a really good deed for yourself that you're going to reap immeasurably tomorrow morning. It's really amazing. And I think we should all be encouraged to do it. In fact, I think we should teach children at school. This would be, if I ran the educational system, I would be teaching people to prepare their clothes for the next day rather than anything that they might not need in the future, because it's just so amazing. Like, it's just such an amazing practice to get into. So those are the 5 steps that I have for you this week, which are finding your personal style signifier. So if you don't know what yours is, then use the blog posts that I've already written to create yours, to find yours. The second one is to wear more of your clothes. That comes down, there's the podcast from last week, and there are blogs on that you can read for putting outfits together, and that's one way that you can wear more of your clothes. Wear colours you like and which suit you. So that's completely on you, that one. Pull something out of the wardrobe that you haven't worn for a while that you absolutely love. You absolutely love the colour and the fabric and everything about it, and wear it. Number 4 on the list was wearing fitted clothes. So find some clothes in your wardrobe which fit you in all the right places. They make you feel sexy and powerful. They don't cling in the wrong places. You don't feel vulnerable. You don't feel overexposed. You just feel calm and powerful. That's number 4. Number 5 is spend time preparing. So if you don't do anything else after this podcast, then just go and prepare your clothes for tomorrow and get them ready and know that you've done a really good deed for yourself. And then finally, I just want to say, don't ever believe the lie that everyone else is created to be happy and confident and that you, for some reason, are the only person not created that way. Just choose a few steps from the podcast and then start implementing them today. Looking after ourselves is so important, and no one else will do this work for us. And in today's modern world, we're not taught a huge amount of taking care of ourselves. I do think that there are more blog posts about it. There are more articles in mainstream media about looking after ourselves. But sometimes those articles don't seem to necessarily be written from a perspective of really trying to understand what it is that we need, but they'll be trotting out something like, 10 self-care tips for going on holiday kind of thing, which is, it's all very interesting, but we're talking here about the inner work that we need to do on ourselves each day. And I've really realized over the last few years that it's just so important to live your everyday really well, to enjoy your everyday, to enjoy the ordinary, to find extraordinary in the ordinary, to enjoy your organisation, the way you organise your life, the way that you go about your life. These small things, they're actually the really important things. And the outer world may be telling us, to strive for the next job and get into more senior levels of management and take on more responsibility, and that in some way is seen as the success of life. But actually, the success of life really is to manage yourself well and to love those around you. And while my remit is not to help you love those around you, my remit is certainly to help you to live your life really well. And I hope that in a small way, the podcast today has just given you a small idea or a spark of inspiration as to how you can just tweak your daily life slightly so that you can live your life really well. So, amazing women, that is what I have for you today, and I hope that you have enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed putting the podcast together and putting this idea, these 2 ideas, my thought baby ideas of healing from inner trauma with looking your best every day and boosting your self-esteem. That was a bit of a challenge because I think that it can sound so trite to say, well, just put something on that you really like and then you're going to feel better. Of course, you're not necessarily going to feel better immediately, but these small steps, they're steps of self-care, which are nurturing. And in those times when we feel traumatized or overburdened or totally burnt out, it's the small things that really help us to calm our inner anxiety and panic and get us back on an even keel. So I hope you have an amazing week, and I look forward to seeing you here this time next week. Bye for now.